Hello and welcome to the stream. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. So 2 days ago, I was trying to make my own format of the damage calculator in order for us to tier craft and compare the damage output based on the equipment that we are wearing. Even though I have struggled a bit on figuring out, and the one of the difficulty that I have observed there, it's the when you try to switch with, so okay, this doesn't work, or I have to switch with this one. It's just our stats is based on whatever stats that we have on our character sheet and on our affixes on the item, and then we just manually place them on the Excel sheet. So whenever that we change something, it's just we go back and forth, and then if there's any slight adjustment that happened that we were not able to account of, so that's where the struggle and the discrepancy on the damage calculator and the actual damage that we are dealing. So yesterday I was doing so the damage calculator now is a little bit more better. And there's still a little bit of update that I want to before I proceed with the blight. And basically I'm also excited on making this one because this will also be helpful on my end in order to theory craft, like, hey, especially if there's a new affixes or new update or new items, like for example, we can easily check if something is not working in the game. So let's go to the training grounds. And I have also the things the things that I have tested so far is the charm set. So you can see here I have already, this one is much more nicer, so I have fixed the top part wherein it shows the damage output. So I have separate group everything because I have a plan on why, the reason why I did this way, so that my plan here is to have all of the equipment listed here, and then as we keep on, so we will just add the affixes, what are the values. So this is not yet over, so there will be more into this column, probably like the shadow damage, cold damage. Well, cold damage, those global the global, I would say the global no, not global, but the all and elemental damage will be falling in the same category like this one. So I've added already damage of 45, damage 2 versus 2 elites, overpower damage, overpower stack, Hellbent Commander, Blood Moon Breaches, Piece of the Black Shroud. Piece of the Black Shroud is really doing 175, and then Red Blessing here. And I have also tested several of the cult leader, several of the legendary nodes on our Paragon board. The cult leader, Bloodbath. With regards to the Bloodbath, I have tested this yesterday, and it is really true that if you have the maximum stacks, keeping the maximum stacks, you're not going to get the 50% damage multiplier. And then I have also added the mage bonus. This is gonna be manually updated based on what is the level of the glyph. At this point, we don't, I mean, we can add what is the value of additive mage damage and amplify. Basically, it's gonna be, I feel like it's gonna be more complicated if I will do that, because we need the Paragon board on the Excel sheet that dynamically change when we add and change something, right? So it's gonna be difficult. So all we can do here is whatever data that you have, you can just add those numbers in. So ideal here, so the thing what I want to add here is, I'm thinking if I'll have to separate the global vulnerable damage and the crit multiplier damage here, probably I'm gonna add one more column here. if this one is, what is this, H? If H20 is equal to true, then true, otherwise false. Is it going to work? Turn off. Nice. Nice. Okay, okay. So we have this one, which is 120. Well, how much is my vulnerable damage on my gear? 144. I think I only have... Is it on the gloves? This one. Okay, on the gloves only. So for example, okay, give me a second here. Maybe I'll add another column here. So this is not yet over. Probably I'm gonna update this and make it more and more better. Probably once I'm done playing with most of the builds in season on next season, and then once I have no more, probably if I have the chance, I'll just update and make this more better. So this is not yet over. I still have some ideas that I want to place here. So say this is equipment. Jack the Grim, thank you for the follow. Equipment. If I'm going to do like this, the only tricky part here is like if we say gloves here, there will be like a different category. The idea that I want to make here, let's just say if this is gloves, so the idea here is something like this. Gloves, and then somewhere at the bottom there will be like a subcategory. Say, what is the aspects? You mean the demonology and the blazing scream? I believe that is the warlock. Good luck with your build, sir. Gloves, and then I will make a subcategory, say aspects. So if there's an aspects here, aspect, oops, why all caps, aspect, and then affix 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the temper affix. What we can do here is to, when we add those affixes, we will have them placed on the respective column here. So if there's an aspect here that is, which is, I'll just call it as a global multiplier. I think here, so we will have two vulnerable here. So the vulnerable, is it going to work? I hope it's not going to make it worse. So the base vulnerable damage, which is 20%. Why did you write down manually here? So this is letter H. Vulnerable. And then here, this is going to be the sum of all of the vulnerable damage that we are going to place here. So basically it will be only between the equipment, which is these are the affixes. So we'll call it like vulnerable affix. And then we're gonna sum, for example, so this is that correct? 36 to 38 and 36 to 38. Okay. So for example, on the gloves, we have... Maybe I'll place it somewhere here, so that when those top are frozen, then you can easily see. Okay, so vulnerable multiplier gloves. So we have on the gloves is 20. Oh, no, I'm not going to add here, just the 20. So this is 20. So now it adds the 20. Then... So, these are two multipliers with each other. So I need to... Another... Give me a second. Another multiplier. So basically, (1.2) times 1.44. Oh, 1.44. 1.2. So that is the same 144 that we have a while ago. So probably I'm gonna write here the 297.5, and then we will add here the critical damage base, and this is affix, the same thing. So base is 50. That's 1.5. Then can I borrow you? Oh no, I'm not going to use you. Then here is sum of the same number of rows, 36 to 38. Okay, and then so now on the gloves, do we have critical strike damage on the glove? Nothing. However, we have the 33% shadow damage multiplier. So what we can do is gloves. Maybe this is a little bit tricky. I just need to be careful here. Probably I'm gonna do it later, and I don't want to make it more complicated for the meantime. I just want to sort out the... Just want to fix the vulnerable and the critical strike damage here, just to make sure that they are applying accordingly. So, okay, critical strike damage. So I'm just gonna total everything. For now, I'm just gonna manually... Okay, how many is our critical strike damage here? So we have 21 here, 38. So I'll just write down everything here under the glove. So we have... How about let's do it right now. So where will be our critical strike damage? Weapon, offhand, weapon, offhand, say amulet, and then ring 1. The ring 1, which is the top ring slot, and then ring number 2. Gloves, and then okay. On the weapon, we have... What is our... Give me a second. Okay. Weapon we have 21 and then offhand 38. I check 21, 38, correct? Nothing here. 50. So okay, I will start the amulet. So 56, 56, 50, 56 and 50. 56 and 50. So how much is this one in total? 165. Am I still missing something? So if I'm not mistaken, okay. How much is our critical strike damage here? 297.5. Let me remove all of these items here. Probably except this one. Okay, let's... How much is our total critical strike damage? So the 50 is still here. Every time that we add an additional critical strike damage, so now it becomes 81.9. So it added 31.9. But the one that we have added here is only 21. $247. Cent 21, 38, 56, 50. If we multiply times 2.65, oops, there you go. This is the one. So if we, a while ago when we placed the 297 here, the total multiplier is 3.98. So the global, the base critical strike damage multiplier, the 50% is basically, that's the base multiplier. And then all of our critical strike damage affix is another total critical strike damage multiplier bucket coming from all of our equipment affix. That is again multiplied with other multipliers. So basically all of those, the total percentage of that multiplier, if you divide it 100 and then you add 1, so that is now the numerical multiplier of that critical strike damage multiplier coming from the affix. So now that the formula is now set, this is the part I'm talking about, that probably, so for example, if the gloves has a for example the shadow damage, then basically it should be here, something like that. Now this one, the shadow damage multiplier, this is the multiplier. So we will have this is the only thing. Shadow damage. Well, if it's a global multiplier, probably if we have affix 1, there will be like a subcategory here. If it's a shadow, then it's a global multiplier. Or do I have to make it separate for like physical damage? Because I want this calculator to be as efficient and tailored for each damage type that we have. But anyway, since I have changed everything here, just to make sure that the calculator is working perfectly, let's go back to the game. Let's go with the elite. Let me remove, I think Bloodbath. I think the Paragon board here is still okay. So let's check all of our affixes. So we have 535 intelligence. Base weapon damage of 2014. I think I have to remove the variants. And then no upgrades on our mage. So again, weapon damage to 2014, intelligence of 535. 2014. Intelligence at 535. Okay. And then mage skill. What is our mage skill? This is now at 248. So we have equipped. So let's remove the red blessing, for though it's not going to activate and there's no affixes that affects the damage of our mage. So we have 248. And then we have all of the charm equipped here. So we're taking advantage of that 175 multiplier damage. Again, 248. Let's set that. 248. It's still here. And then let's turn off the vulnerable damage. We're not going to apply vulnerable damage yet. Probably it's not blank. Should be 1. Same thing as you. Because once it is blank, it is recognized as 0, and since these are all multiplicative, so when we turn this off, so basically it turns off the vulnerable and critical strike damage. So let's turn off this for a while, just to make sure that I didn't made some horrible error when I changed the this vulnerable and the critical damage here. So again, 535. We don't care about the resource. 248 singularity mage. So we're not taking off these multipliers right here. So again, what are our all damage? I think I have this damage already. Let's check which one that is being applied. So we have to take note of the global multiplier. Okay. So this is a bit of the hard part. So we have critical strike damage of 81.9. So this is coming from this one. So 21. So what I can do here... No, this one... Oh, shoot. Arr. Because this one is manually entered. Now this is the part that I'm thinking, if there's a way, if we can still use the checkbox here to set a conditional formula that number that we turned, I think it's going to be difficult unless we have another column that when we add this one, it turns off the number. Yeah, I'm going to check if there's a way, like when you add a checkbox here, like when you check this one, because this is manually entered, to turn off this number so that you don't have to worry about. So this is the part that probably I'll write down here: 38, 56, 50, and this is 21. Then I'm going to delete this one. So we're only using the weapon. What else? What else that I need to turn off? We don't have the Hellbent Commander on the offhand. We don't have the Bloodmoon Breaches. We don't have Black Shroud. We have Red Blessing. We don't. Paragon board. Do we have the Amplify on our Paragon board? I have an Amplify, so we can turn this maybe off for now. Now, damage. What is our... Probably I'm going to remove the Amplify for now, so that it's gonna be easier to trace everything. So all damage is, so we have 81.9. So what is our damage multiplier now here? So the it shows here that the 81.9, that 81.9, this is the 81.9 that number is showing. So this one times this, that is the 81.5. So you deduct the 1 and then you divide the 800, minus 1, you multiply it by 100. So that is the 81% that that stat sheet is talking about. Okay, let's focus on... So we have vulnerable damage, but we're not doing any vulnerable for now. We're just gonna check the normal and the critical strike damage. All damage at 50. Damage with shadow. So this damage with shadow, this is a little bit tricky. So all damage is 50. I'm just gonna write down here all damage 50. Damage with shadow, the actual damage multiplier, this is a multiplier. The additive is 0. We haven't added any shadow damage yet. The 269 is a multiplier for the shadow damage. The thing is, this is incorrect, because if you remove this one, why damage to shadow went from 234? Because somehow, I don't know how the math is doing here, that they are adding the 175 here to prove, if I'm going to remove this one, if I see this one, 175, so that's the 175 on the 5th bonus, 175. So yeah. But anyway, so the actual damage multiplier for the shadow is 34.5. Damage to elite is 45. If we are not fortifying, so we are not adding this 15. So we're just gonna focus on 50, 34.5, and 45. 50, 34.5. So this is the global multiplier. This is a global multiplier for the shadow damage, 34.5. And then elites, that's additive damage. So the reason why it's additive, it says here at the bottom, don't look at the top, look at the bottom, it says plus 45. It says here also on the damage, look at the bottom, it is additive. Don't look at the top, look at the bottom. So that's 50% additive. Plus 45, plus 15. Basically, this is also 15. That is an additive damage from the damage to 45. So we have, again, 50 all damage, 34.5 on the shadow. Damage to elite is 45. So let's write down those number. What else? We're not doing overpower, so we turn it off. We're not doing any fortification, so we can turn that off. So I think everything is in order. So let's add this in. So our damage normal is 12,000, crit at 21.8. So remember this number, 12,000. normal damage, crit at 21.8. Because we don't have any additional critical strike chance, I think we're doing 5%, so we need 20 hits before our mage will do a critical strike damage. 21.8, 12 and 21.8. Now if we take a look here, so that is the number, so meaning, yay, our so far after updating, so our damage calculator is now working. Probably I will explain in the future what is this critical strike damage efficiency. I think correct me if I'm wrong, the way this is how I interpret our damage. When we look at the critical strike damage, when we see this 21,822, we see this like, oh, we're doing a huge amount of damage. Maybe let's use a say we dealt 1 trillion damage. Wow, we dealt 1 trillion damage. That is good. That's very high number. If your critical strike chance is only 5%, or let's just say 10%, when we compare this to a, say, half a billion damage, wherein the critical strike chance is 50%, which one do you think is much more potent in terms of damage output? The 1 trillion crit or the 500 billion crit? So there are two factors that I see here that will affect that damage. One is the critical strike chance, one is your attack speed. The more attack speed that you have, the more chance, the more frequency of your critical strike hits is going to happen. Let's put it this way, if you have 50% critical strike chance and your attack speed is 200, so meaning you're doing 2 attacks per second, if each attack is 50%, so basically per second you are doing 1 critical strike hit per second. So now when you are now comparing with 5% critical strike chance doing 1 trillion, but it only happens every 5%, so that's 5% is 1 out of 20. Now you multiply that 5%, 0.05 to say 2 attacks per second. So that is 10. So what that 10 represent? So your critical strike chance is only happening every 10% for each second. So take note of that. And how much is 10 out of 100 for you to crit? So meaning you are waiting for your 10 second, that one out of those one up. It could be like, it depends, like if there's a chance that usually it will happen on based on that chance, on the 10th second you will have your critical strike hit. Let's use that 1 trillion. If that 1 trillion hits for after 10 seconds, so how much damage you are doing per second in the effectiveness of the critical strike damage? So 1 trillion, so maybe 1 trillion to be, let's say you're doing 100,000, you divide it by 10 seconds. So your critical strike damage efficiency is 10k per second. Now, let's just say the other one at 50% critical strike chance but doing only 50k. But it can deal critical strike every second. Therefore, that 50k is already like 1 second. So the other one is only doing 10k per second approximately. The other one is already doing 50k per second. So those are the factors that we have. So this is the reason why I'm doing also this calculator, so that we can really see the total damage output, and then when we add those critical strike chance, attack speed, and other conditional factor, then we can really factor in like, oh, maybe adding more critical strike chance on my gear is not going to significantly increase my damage, but basically I can replace and add an additional global multiplier or additional multiplier that will scale my damage even further, even at say lower critical strike chance. Now to really prove this in on its full state, let's equip everything. Probably to refresh, let's unsummon our mages. So now we will have the vulnerable damage also. I haven't tested the vulnerable damage a while ago. I think it's okay. So again, let's recalculate. What is our base weapon damage here is 4028. Intelligence at 1892. 428, 1892. So it is now 4028. Sorry, I think there was an ads. Let me finish. I think there's still one more ad that it's rolling. So once it's done, then I will continue. I think 10 more seconds. Okay, so going back. So 4028 and then 1892 on the intelligence. 1892. And then we have to check the mage skill to check if there's anything that was added. So let's go back. So still the same, 248. So that's correct. Now this is now the interesting part. The additional damage. So critical strike damage now added 297. So we are going to manually add all of the critical strike damage that we have acquired a while ago. There's 21 here, 21 here, 38, 50, and then the critical strike damage multiplier here of 56. So 21, 38 on the weapon, on the offhand, 56 on the amulet, 1 of the rings. On the Paco Bone, we don't have critical strike damage there. What else? Vulnerable damage. There's 44. Only this one. Which is we have added already. Do we have a focus? Group comments, Zoom. We don't have a focus. Anyway, the focus is in Excel 360. They have a tool wherein when you click your cell, it depends on the setting. You can focus in X and Y axis, so it will highlight the entire column and then the entire row where the cell is located, so you can easily see if you're working with large Excel worksheets. So you can see, like for example, gloves, then you will see a highlight, then you can see which are the cells that are being on that row or column where the cell, the highlighted cell is showing. What else? Okay. Vulnerable damages in summon damage, that is the Hellbent Commander, all damage 50, and then shadow of 559.33. If we remove this, that is 139.8, and then 50. All damage 50. This is 139.8. Vulnerable damage is here. Can I place the global multiplier here now? weapon, gem, offhand, there's also gem. Yeah, probably I will have an additional column here that shows like gem and then what gem that you're using. If it's amethyst, then it's a shadow damage. The only thing is, if I'm going to do it this way, my idea here is like this. I think you can use a VLOOKUP here. Can you use a VLOOKUP here? Okay, good. My idea here is we are not manually adding. My plan here is to add more sheet, like for example, equipment, aspects, and then those particular sheets will have all of the data with respect to the affixes, like for example, equipment, their affixes, and all of them will have the same column as what we have here. And then what I can do here is to collect all of those data and transfer it here. So now we can use that turn on, turn off here using the checkbox. So for example, I don't need that weapon. So this is the part that the comparison that I'm talking about. Let's just say I have a gloves 1 and then I'm comparing it to a gloves number 2. Then I can turn on, turn off. Then I can see now the damage here, and then if I will do this, turn on this, then we will see, oh, what is the changes on the damage. So now we can really see, like, it's easier to make a comparison, like, oh, if I'm going to invest in this one, how much damage that I'm going to add. So that's the idea behind this. But for now, I'm just gonna add it here. Then I'm just gonna because I don't have much, because I want to polish the I want to make the Cold Blight, because season 14 is going to start tomorrow. But for the meantime, I just want to add everything here. I think once I have all of those data, then it will be easier to show it here. So 139, so we got that data. So we have damage to, I think we have damage to all damage, which is additive. So this is now on the additive damage bucket. So we have elites, fortified, and all damage. So all damage is 50. Shadow, we have known this a while ago. So all damage is 50, and then damage to elites, so that's 45. We have it there. Damage while 45, 15. The Hellbent Commander, we're wearing Hellbent Commander now on our offhand. We are wearing the Blood Moon breeches. We have turned on the Black Shroud. Red Blessing, we're not going to do Overpower. Cult Leader, nothing, except we're just gonna equip just to show that the Amplify bonus is going to work. So we have 10 and then 11.4 on the Legendary bonus. So that Legendary bonus is coming from, if we're going to apply it here, so we can see here that the additive bonus that it provides, so we have plus 53.6 damage to elites, and then 11 I think because everything is added here, so we're just gonna update. All damage is now 67, 67.8, 67.8, and 98.6. 67.8 and then 98.6. So 67, 67.6, 67.8, and then damage to elites is now 98.6. Supposedly we can add it here, but I don't want to make it more complicated. So, but the damage multiplier, why it was not switching for? So we have changed the 67.8 and then 9.8 and then 15, still the same. We're not doing any overpower. So again, for the amplify is that additional bonus of 10% multiplier. affected by curse. So basically our mage using the Blood Moon Breaches is inflicting curse. That's why it is vulnerable. That is through the Iron Maiden. And then the 11.4, the legendary bonus. So let's refresh the dummy. So that is that one. So I'm expecting that our mage is doing 354 and 1.8 million in critical strike damage. So do you see now the damage? See the 354, 354, 354. It's because of the effect of the Hand of Nasa. See 354, 354, 35. Oh, that's crit. 354, 354. And then when it crits, according to our planner, our calculator, it's 1.877. Something is not being added. I think one of the critical strike damage multiplier. It's 2252. Am I doing fortification? No, I'm not fortified. Vulnerable damage is turned on. $18.92, that's correct. 248. $67.8. 98.8, 98.6 because that is an elite. Shadow damage multiplier didn't change. Still 98.6. I think I know the reason behind, or maybe or maybe not. 36 to 45, 36 to 45, 36 to 45, still correct. We have the Hellbent, we have the Blood Moon. Which one is not activated? Two five two. Something is. One 480. I think no, this is correct. Oh, the other multiplier. This one. M21. That one. That's the 2 something a while ago. Bring back the amplify. Was that 2252? When it crits 2252 with the slight discrepancy, because when we masterwork an item, especially if it's again on our items here, like the critical strike damage here that we are seeing on the item, take note, what if the critical strike damage here is say 10 point something, and then we masterwork and then it rounds up. The thing is, it shows on the item that it was round up, but the true damage is really coming from the actual how much of the numerical value of the affix it considers, I think, 1 or 2 decimal points. The thing is, it doesn't show on the item. So that's the only, but we're close. That's the important thing. At least it's 2252. It shows on the game. It's 2252. We are at 2253. And I don't need to further test. So basically, this is working perfectly. Like if we turn on the singularity mage, you can really see at 200 how much is our resource. This is 274. If I turn on the singularity, so this is, I think, 10 point. Yeah, this is somehow the discrepancy of that additional 10%. So if we activate the singularity mage, it will deal with the same damage of with this damage 2.9 and then 18.7 at 274 resource. For the final testing, as so that we can proceed with our blight build. So 2.9 and 18.7. Let's refresh. Let's activate singularity. It goes down now to 261, so let's update our resource to 61. So 2.8, 17.8. Did I turn on the 174? Nothing is added here. It is now dealing 13121. Oh. $274, $261. Yeah, this is also the part I'm also trying to... Am I adding any damage or none? 3 2167. Oh shoot. $2969 and then 18.8. Here is the number. Again, I think some of the factors there is the critical strike damage here. And then even the including the vulnerable damage here. But we see the numbers here now. 2.9 and then the 18.8. A 274 resource. Now it deals 3121. I wonder how. Because this is also the part that it intrigues me, the Black Shroud, the additional 50%. How much the mage is doing again? If I add 13, 274, 287. A while ago is 2.9, now it's 3121. (3121) 2.9. It adds an additional 0.08%. Okay, one more time. Well, this is the part that we don't have really like the control. If there is like some kind of a discrepancy, but we can report that, hey, see, now it's 2969. See, that's 2969. Then it will crit at 18.8. That one. Because the thing is, when and how this 50%, it says here, enemies who are corrupted for more than of their remaining life that are vulnerable and weakened, and then they take an additional damage increase from you. I don't think that this 50% is a global multiplier, but the thing is, because it says here that the enemies who are corrupted more than the remaining life, usually when the corruption damage is inflicting the enemy, like you will see like a shadow, and then this solid red bar is gonna be ahead, while there is like a blurred red behind. So that is the life that is inflicted with a corruption or frostbitten damage. So if that is ahead, so they will take an additional 50%, but because we're not doing that much damage, when I inflict... Wait a second. They take increased damage from you. They take increased damage from you. It seems like when we deal damage to the enemies, but I don't know how much of that 50% is being factored in. It feels like when we hit the dummy with our damage, $2167 if I remove the elites. So now there's a 3121. This is weird. If we enable damage variance, disable. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, probably I'll just figure it out once I have the chance. But right now, where's my blight build for season 40? I'm going to use this one, and then let's make, or do I have it already? Cold blight. Nothing. I feel like I'm just gonna delete this one. Copy. Basically, it's still the same. Cold Blight Season 14. Wonder if we can still oops. What the heck? I don't know if we can still use the Bolt's Wheel here. Blight also shoots 4 smaller projectiles. I think this one is still okay. But let's fix the skill tree. I think for the skill tree, we can just remove... We're just gonna update it to Whirlpool. Still the same... Thinking if we're going to use the red blessing, Increase corrupting and frostbite damage. Crushing. This one, the memories. I think this one we will go with Azurat. And then this one, we can add an additional multiplier here, or we can move the crushing aspect here. And then we can wear the signet of Pelgain here. And then here we're going to use Topaz because we're going to use a shield. Glenn's Anvil. No, I'm not going to use Glenn's Anvil here. The best one here will be the Disobedience. Wither, Bloodbath, Frailty, and then Set of Death. Probably Red Blessing would still be okay here, and then Tidal. But we need Fortification. That's another thing again. Well, we can sacrifice the Bone Golem, but we will not have this. I feel like we don't need a Soul Rift here. If we're not going to use, well, Soul Rift is our, like a... I would say... I can use the Blood Wave for this one, but the thing is it only adds 2 overpower. We can go full blast with barrier. Oh no, I'll go with this one. Feb. You do increase damage and gain primary resource regeneration while unstoppable for 5 seconds after. is there any other damage scaling on the pants? Your freeze effect causes enemies to permanently take, and then we're going to use, if we're not going to take advantage of, probably we can go with Cream here, and then instead of Red Blessing we can go with Hued Flesh. And then here on the amulet, we're going to use Exploiters, that's correct. I haven't played this yet on Season 13, so we're just gonna eyeball everything here. Is there anything that I missed? Azarath. Crashing Aspect. What we need here is, well, Azarath is still okay with 120% up to 120% increase in damage. Well, if the Exploiter has the same effect wherein we can freeze, the freeze of the Whirlpool is going to take longer. Because I tested the Thal rune that somehow, if we have that Exploiter, oh, I cannot add the Exploiter here. Where was the Exploiter that I used yesterday? You know what? I'm just gonna return it to Exploiter. So if Exploiter is on the amulet, this one will give more damage. Where is Whirlpool? If without the Exploiter, how much is 1, 2, 3? Where is the frozen state? How can we see the frozen state? Oh my goodness. There. That's the freeze. That's it? One second. It's defiled air pulsed in enemies and chills for every 15 seconds. So chills 100 divided by 15, 30, 30, 30. So that's 2, 4, 6, 90, 7. Chill is freezing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. Like 2.5? One, 2, 3. Approximately like 2.5 to 3 seconds. If we're going to use the Exploiter, increasing the duration. So we're expecting, if it's only 2.5, adding 50%, so that's only 3.75. Approximately 4 seconds. When I tested this on the Thal rune, somehow that exploiter increases almost double the duration of the Thal rune freezing effect. One, two. Huh? It becomes shorter. It becomes shorter. One, two, three, four. Oh yeah, approximately like that. So 4 seconds. So 4 seconds that they are frozen. Then signature pearl gain 15%. I think it's not 15% now. I think it's, is it only 10? No, 15% next season. Today is 20. Then next season is gonna be 15. So 15 times 4 seconds. So at least that's 60. So they get the 60% damage permanently. Then they become unstoppable. They get an additional 75% on the exploiter. Then they freeze again. Then damage of pearl gain starts to increase again. One. Huh? Our training dummy is bugged. One, two, three, four, five. So this is Tal Rune. It instantly freezes the enemy. One. Can we do it again? 1, 2, 3. Like 20 half. Exploiter. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think on Nagu. Alright. Where's Nagu? Oh, where's Talrun? Overflow increase up to increase in size. Nagu will provide 500, so double. Alright, that's the reason we are overflowing with Nagu. If we're going to do that, then the Thal rune is going to increase by double. But the thing is, when we do the blight, before the Thal rune is going to take effect, it's already too late because they are already, well, during the chill effect, when we cast the Thal rune, the thing is, this is 250, but we need, if we have the minions with us, say 2 warrior, 3 golem, and then 1 mage, so that's already 5 minions. Then we can cast the Thal rune with overflow, so that they will get 5%, approximately 4 to 5 second duration. So 15 times 75, so they get a permanent 75, up to 75% approximately damage. If we're going to use the exploiter. I think that's going to be, so my only concern is the Nagu, the Q rune. We can still use it on Seer, no problem. The only thing with the bloodless cream is this only happens between if we are going, no, we need the hued flesh. We need the hued flesh and then the exploiter. If we're going to use the red blessing, so we will have 6 stacks of, I feel like red blessing here is ideal because 6 stacks, 4 base plus 2 on the red blessing, so that's 6 times at maximum roll of the red blessing. 7 times 6, so that's 42%. Probably I'm going. I'm good with that, and then we're going to use the service and sacrifice. We had the hued flesh. Instead of fell gluttony, we will use the grey bloom for more warriors so that we will have more minions, and then paragon board, wither, bloodbath. Probably what I'm thinking here. Because if we're not going to take advantage of, so we have frailty, bloodbath, what is this one, sin of death? I think I will go with flesh eater here. Rotate board. Usually I'm always going right here. Probably we should go like this. So what node I'm missing? Amplify, we have Abyssal. Daunted. What is this one? Damage to elites, damage. I think, what did I miss on Dominate, right? No, Dominate is here. Where's Dominate? On Frailty. Okay, probably I like the Gravekeeper here. This is perfect because of damage to elites and then all damage here. Yeah, probably, I guess that's the setup. We're gonna start right here and then we go down here. Actually, we don't need too much of those dexterity. Basically, we're not getting benefit from it if we increase our dexterity. Of course, you can still take that one. Corrupting damage. Well, this one we don't know. This corrupting damage should be corrupting and frostbite damage. What they have updated is only the glyph. What about this one? Supposedly the wither is for cold and damage. Oh, cold and damage. Cold and... well, I don't know if because of the planner, if this one is not yet fully updated, but supposedly we should have cold damage there as well. I think that Paragon board is okay. Amplify again, amplify, Abysso, Gravekeeper, Dominate, Undaunted. I'm thinking whether I would go with, instead of Abysso, we could go with Darkness or Scourge. Though what I like about the Darkness is, is at least it has the damage reduction, because we don't know. We need more damage reduction on next season. So skill tree, I think everything is okay. We'll just need a default wheel there. So unstoppable will be coming from our golem. Maybe attack speed instead of... life is still okay, but I think I like the attack speed for the sacrifice. Let's check essence regeneration. Do I still need essence regeneration? Probably I still need... well, if we have the Tibolt's Will, but it's not really consistent all the time. Oh, that's the reason why I have the golem at Fell Gluttony. Ah, okay, okay. So we have one golem. I would say one mage, that's 2. 4 warriors. So it will become 2. So 2, 1. So we have only 4 minions. So we are only... it doesn't matter. 400. And then Seer. We'll go with Foul Rune. Especially once we have the Exploiter aspect. For early gearing, basically I'm already done for the... there's one more build that I'm planning to do, but I don't have... probably I'm just gonna review the one of the build. Basically there's 2 builds that I haven't created the planner yet. One of them is I have already played recently, which is the Blood Blight, and probably I'm just gonna review my previous stream what is the ideal. I think I have already discussed what is... I think because of the Exploiter also I wasn't able to... is it Exploiter? Embalmer. The Embalmer aspect. Supposedly I can place it on the boots, but I was because of the bug I cannot place it on the boots. So that I was not able to take advantage of the overpower damage and the overpower stacks. I think for early gearing, I think this one is already okay. Early gearing, I'll just say this build can be efficient using legendary aspect while waiting for your unique items. This build can be efficient using its legendary aspects. Mechanics, we are using the we're using the whirlpool. We are using the whirlpool upgrade. The whirlpool upgrade allows blight to turn into cold damage that scales on cold damage multipliers in our aspects, Paragon board, and unique items. It is also efficient in pulling its effect, also pulls the enemies in the defiled area, and its effect also pulls the enemies in the defiled area, and this will trigger the this will also trigger the effect of the God player crown. We are using the gift of death of the skeletal mages for essence regeneration. We use the service and sacrifice upgrade. We use the service and sacrifice upgrade of the skeletal warriors for auto consumption, for auto corpse consumption to trigger the flesh eater node. As we are not using the blood bath because we are not using the setup is not utilizing overpower stacks. However, we taking advantage of the how much is the dominate now? If we're not using the bloodbath, the dominate is now say at level 1 round it is 1. Willpower is 79, so it will be round up to 75. 75 divided by 5, so that's 12, 15 times 1%, so that's 15. Because we can still have overpower stats. Four plus 2, it's 6. Because we can have additive damage at 15. 15 times 4 stacks, so that's still 60%. It will outperform the other additive damage on our temper affix. I think we should be okay with the dominate there. That's why I'm saying here, where are you? However, we're still taking advantage of the additive damage from overpower stack from dominate glyph and our temper affixes. We're only casting the Soul Rift for additional multiplier damage when fighting tougher monsters. What else? We use the fell gluttony of the golem to help on for its active skill casting frequency to trigger the unstoppable effect. To trigger the unstoppable effect and to get the bonus, the damage and essence regen bonus from the bolts will Uniques. Evan Piercer. Gods. Azure. Signet of Pelgain. Azure Wrath. For DPS and God Slayer Crown for speed farming. We can swap God Slayer Crown with Crest for more DPS. Signet of Pelgan is ideal for pit pushing. I think during boss farming, the Pelgan is not going to work also. Azurat is not going to work also. The freeze is going to take effect when the bosses are days. Maybe Signet is still okay, but we need to replace these two with more and better damage multiplier. The Gloom Ward, unfortunately, this is only for shadow damage. This is the tricky part. I feel like we will need the red blessing here. I think we will have a different approach on dealing with the bosses. I think instead of the exploiter, what we need there is hewed flesh. Or tidal on the amulet and then hewed flesh here, then tidal on the amulet. So we will have an extra Ebon Piercer. Then I guess we will replace... Okay. When fighting when farming lair bosses. When farming lair, Lilith and Mephisto. Replace the following. Replace and replace the following how many spaces is that? 1, 2, 3. Unique charm. Replace and or have a spare of the following. Unique charm, red blessing, Evan Piercer transfiguration, Tidal, one and weapon. So what can we replace here? We have the crushing aspect, frozen memories, aspect of decay. Probably amplify damage. And this one is Sapphire. One hand weapon. Amplified damage aspect. I feel like Azurath looks like kind of powerful, but to be honest, it only happens when the enemy is frozen. So the thing is, how many times that we can have the enemies to be in a freezing state and then they will become unstoppable. How long is the unstoppable state? Like 5 seconds. So if we take a look, say if our freezing with the Thal rune, for example, we can do say 4 seconds, 4 to 5 seconds. Let's make it 4 seconds. Okay, let's just make it 4 seconds. So 4 second, 5 second, 5 second on the unstoppable. So basically, the Azurath deals 120% within 9 seconds. The reason why I'm saying that is that when the enemy is now frozen, 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds, so we are inflicting with the Azurath. But it stops when the enemy is unstoppable at 5 seconds. So before the enemy will become frozen again, so that the Azurath will build up, that will store that damage again. So basically, the overall damage multiplier for every second, if our attack is 1 attack per second, let's just use 1 attack per second. So if the damage we're doing at 120%, for example, happening every second, which is only happening within 4 seconds. So 120%, if we add them together, so that's 480% in total damage. But you have to divide that by 9. So how much is that? Approximately like 6.69%. $53. Oops. What the heck is that? What the hell did I press? So anyway, so that's only 53 per second. So 53% damage per second. So 53 damage per second. If we're going to add amplified damage, once the enemy is cursed, with the same duration, basically all throughout, let's just make them compare apple to apple. So this is 60% per second. So which one is much more potent? Basically the amplified damage. Wonder if we have another multiplier damage here, like I think this is the highest. Oh, this one is the highest, like for an all-around increase in damage. It's just the Azurath will be able to build up that damage to the enemies. The only thing is, that's the explosion from Azurath is I don't think it's an AoE damage. It's just it explodes on the enemy based on the total damage that you have inflicted on it times whatever percentage or damage multiplier that the damage that the enemy received the damage, and then it will be multiplied by based on the Azurath's multiplier damage. I think that's it. Armor, those are correct. Intelligence, damage over time. This is cold. Then blight, intelligence, damage for overpower, pants, maximum life. I think this one is okay. And speed, because I feel like we might need, probably we need essence generation, or maybe we don't need the essence generation here anymore because we have already 5 here. Wonder if that is enough. Damage over time, darkness skill, that's correct. Attack speed, yeah, attack speed here is still okay. Resource cost, we don't need the resource cost. We need vulnerable damage multiplier here. Damage over time. Offhand, we're using shield, using intelligence, we're using armor, we're using max life, armor, damage reduction. Then here is, yes, max life. Gonna go with damage reduction. Weapon damage. And the thing with the Azurath, the affixes. The affixes of the Azurath. Like the guaranteed affix of the Azurath is weapon damage and then life. Why not damage to cold multiplier? Of course, weapon damage, damage per overpower. Can we still build up overpower through the chance on Blood Maiden, right? Okay. Okay. All right. Cold mages. What is this? Skill tree Paragon board is now updated. This one will go with Aldkin for the Field of Languish for the damage reduction. Iron Maiden will go with Blight. Save changes. And then speaking of, now I think everything is updated. So now this one. What else I'm missing? Variant, iconic, mythic. We're gonna use Harlequin Crest. Okay, for the final touch, loot filter. Which one is similar? Singularity Cold Mages. I'll just duplicate cold, light, whirlpool. Wait a second, do I have vulnerable damage on cold damage? Cold damage. Yeah, one cold damage here would be okay. What we have cold damage here. We can add vulnerable damage here. Oops. Okay, pants. Intelligence and I'm also intelligence. Armor. Okay, boots. Amulet. Damage over time. Yep, darkness skill. Ring. Vulnerable. Damage over time. One-hand weapon. There's one affix that we need. Weapon damage, and then off-hand. No critical strike chance, just intel or damage reduction. And some greater affix, that's okay. So okay, so we're gonna export that. Season 14 build guides. Just give me a second. Let me. Oh, I don't have the background pictures. How can I? Because Diablo 4 doesn't have the press. How can I copy this now? Okay. Well, it looks awkward, but this is the best I can do. This is the best screenshot that I can get from the game. Even though it looks awkward. I'm gonna remove this for the meantime until I have fully Blight, Whirlpool, Build Planner. It's here, share, copy link, and then on the game, export. All right, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4. But most likely I'll be playing with this 3 and then the singularity mages and then this one. There's 2 more that I still want to test the how good that they are still on this season. The blood blight and then the bone blood search, and then there's still other builds that I still want to check, and which I haven't played yet in season 13, but I'm looking forward to play them on season 14. And especially some of the our items are now some of the bugs has been fixed, so yeah, that's it for me today. For me, this is the last for season 13 for me. So tomorrow probably I'm gonna start because Wednesday is holiday here, so I'll be able to stream a little bit longer on Wednesday. Probably I'm gonna start somewhere around noontime. So tomorrow I can still stream a little bit longer. Probably I'm not going to skip my workout. I'm still gonna most likely I will stream the same time tomorrow, but since it's holiday the next following day, but I'm not going to stay up late too much. Probably I'm just gonna try my best just to complete the play the seasonal mechanic, level up our new character, Probably I'm not going to play the SSF yet. I'm not going to play that challenge yet. Just in case if there's a bug, because I still want to share the items with my other character. Because I think if once you play the SSF, you will not be able to trade, but I think you can still share the items, the stash, and the items from your other SSF character. And just in case somebody, some other people will require some materials, and at least I can still share and trade the materials and items that I have. So that will be the plan for tomorrow. So again, I'll try to level up until I get the character to level 70. Probably I will end the stream once the character is already level 70, so that the following day, which is a long stream, so we'll be full blasting on the end game, and we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward. Most likely I'll be start playing with whichever the items that we will get first, the mace, the mace of King Leoric, or when we farm Zir, if we can get our hands with that the Sanguivore, and if we have the waking touch, probably we'll be playing the dead cold upgrade of the Army of the Dead. So alright, that's it for me today. Thank you very much for watching and for tuning in, and I'll see you guys on season 14 tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye.